Matt Levi Investigates, brought to you by HMSA to keep our community informed and engaged, working together for positive change. Meadow Gold Dairies, the dairy that truly cares about Hawaii. BEI Hawaii, Hawaii's largest distributor of industrial chemicals, fertilizers, and agricultural products. And Hawaiian Electric Company, supporting a clean energy future for Hawaii.
Did you feel at any point that you let Hawaii's people down?
100%. I mean, that's why I was hurting. I mean, that's why when you asked me how I was, because I don't even feel like walking the streets right now. I felt like I let Hawaii down. I felt like I let my fans down. You know, and I'm sorry, man. I know there's people concerned about me, and I want to thank them for all the things that they've done. You know, the only thing I can do is just to do good, you know? I mean, I got to keep living. And, you know, I made a mistake, and in essence, the mistake, I'm sorry I let the youth down, most importantly, because, you know, I was a guy that didn't do substance as a kid, you know? So I could sit there and tell your kids don't do, you know? I mean, I didn't really get into trouble until I was out of football trying to battle some personal problems. You know, I'm really sorry, obviously, is what I'm trying to say, but I guess now my mission is to just give back, do good, and try and make up for the slip-up.
In a state where football is king, for a few shining years, quarterback Colt Brennan was the crown prince. He had rock star status on and off the field and was the leader of the Hawaii Warrior Pack, which went undefeated in 2007 and played in the Sugar Bowl. In July of this year, Brennan was released from custody after his arrest for drunk driving, a stop during which police said they found a small packet on the floor of his rental car which contained cocaine residue. The drug case was later dropped, and he is fighting the DUI charge. But to legions of Hawaii fans, the arrest is just another sad stop on a seemingly endless downward spiral. Tonight, we will examine Brennan's life from stardom to a jail cell. But first, Colt Brennan, the young man.
I think what happened is when I was younger than everyone, smaller than everyone, I was playing with the bigger kids, it made me tougher that when puberty started to develop in me, I started to really blossom as far as an athlete. And by 7th and 8th grade, it was quite clear to me that I had a chance to really pursue, you know, a life in sport. And football was what I loved the most since I was a kid, and I was just diehard about it.
Brennan grew to become a standout quarterback at Southern California powerhouse Mater Dei High School. He received scholarship offers from several schools, but decided to attend the University of Colorado. Before he could make an impact on the field, he made headlines for the wrong reasons.
Let's turn back the clock to 2003, University of Colorado. Arrested, accused of going into a girl's room, drunk, fondling her. True?
No. I passed the polygraph test. I mean, no, it wasn't true, man. It was. The thing is that I took responsibility if I was inappropriate in the aspect of being a punk or a jerk.
You didn't go in her room?
No, I did go in her room when she invited me, you know. And see, that's what's tough too, man, is the media has never ever written the truth about that situation. But people testified, they witnessed her. She had invited me. I had gone out. And when I came home that night, I remember she invited me over. She's like, stop by when you get back later on, or whatever the wordage was. And I had stopped by her room and basically never touched her, never did nothing. A friend of hers had walked into the room when I was sitting on the bed, and she was at her computer. And it turned out that she had a boyfriend, and she ended up saying she needed to leave the room. Her friend walked in and thought, you know, we were hanging out, having alone time or whatnot. But I didn't touch her. I didn't put my hands on her. I didn't force anything. And I got polygraph test, it passed. And I had the witness that came in the room verify my story to the police. And that's why I was found not guilty of those things. You know, I always felt like these people are going to try and, you know, screw me over somehow. And I've always had that feeling in the back of my mind ever since Colorado, and it's a horrible feeling. And it may have contributed a lot of the tough times I've had this last, year and a half, 2 years. You know, football and it's the physical aspect.
Brennan was convicted of felony burglary and trespassing. He served a week in jail and was placed on probation for 4 years. He was kicked off the Colorado football team. Brennan went home to California to regroup. He played football at the junior college level and tried to get his life together. In 2004, many schools were leery of taking a chance on a player with a serious criminal record. But Brennan's outstanding play at Saddleback College got the attention of Hawaii head coach June Jones.
And so I turned down a scholarship to San Jose State. And when I talked to June, he came out and recruited me, and he asked me to walk on. He didn't even give me a scholarship, but he said all the right things. He talked about Chad Owens and Ashley Lely, walk-ons, in the NFL, and Travis LeBoy too, maybe. And so I was just completely convinced that this guy could give me a fair shot at getting to what my ultimate goal was one day would be the NFL, but the aspect of living in Hawaii, seeing the team out there that day was what was the most intriguing. And so I packed my bags and got out here right after I got my degree from junior college.
Brennan made an impact almost immediately. In 2005, he led the nation in total offense and passing touchdowns. In 2006, he led the nation in scoring and passing efficiency. He finished 6th in voting for the Heisman Trophy.
We blasted teams, and then all of a sudden at the end of the year, because of my statistics, it put me in the hunt for a Heisman. It was merely just like wow, that's cool, but it wasn't too real in essence.
Brennan's senior campaign included a 12-0 regular season, the collegiate career record for touchdown passes, an invitation to the Sugar Bowl to play national power Georgia, 3rd place in the Heisman voting, and full-fledged rock star status in Hawaii.
And I'd go around and people would stop me. Going to Safeway was not, hey, I got to run down and get something real quick. It was, I got to go to Safeway, so I'll be back in an hour. I got to pick up, toothpaste, and I'll be back in an hour. So that was kind of it. It was very tiring, but
Mobbed, a lot of autographs.
Yeah, it was tiring, but considering how I started my college career, how could I be anything but kind of grateful toward it?
When we return, Hawaii's undefeated season earns the Warriors a spot in the Sugar Bowl against Georgia, but it proves to be anything but sweet.
Sugar Bowl. We heard Colt Brennan out the night before the Sugar Bowl, drinking, carousing with his teammates, but to a point where even the team was upset with you. True?
You may not know what we do or how we do it, but you're glad we do it. We're BEI Hawaii. We help you grow. We help you play. We even help keep pests away. From fertilizers to crop protection, specialty products, industrial chemicals, and pest control. BEI Hawaii plays a big part in keeping these islands green and growing, and so much more. BEI Hawaii, helping Hawaii be Hawaii.
Looking for a Medicare plan? HMSA representatives are here to answer your questions.
How much will it cost?
HMSA Akamai Advantage has plans starting at $0 a month for medical and drug benefits.
Will we have coverage when we travel?
Yes, Akamai Advantage has worldwide coverage for emergency care, so you'll have peace of mind while traveling. Choose HMSA Akamai Advantage, the smart choice for Hawaii.
My grandfather started working for Metagold back in 1923. My dad retired from Metagold after 30 years of service. I remember Dad telling me and my brother Matt about the importance of integrity and dedication, especially when it came to work. He believed that's what makes a person stronger. I guess you could say that had a big influence on me. I'm Frank Gaspar Jr., and this is Metagold and me. 3 generations and counting.
Sugar Bowl, 41-10. How badly were you overmatched?
Well, I think that they had a team that was incredibly talented. Overmatched. I think they just had they matched up well against us. They matched in favor of them, and what we do, they matched up well. And if we came out kind of doing good things, and then that defense just started laying the wood and starting to really make big hits, and all of a sudden we saw the score starting to slip away, and we were scrambling trying to find an answer, and before we knew it, the game seemed to they just won it. They were just better than us.
We heard Colt Brennan out the night before the Sugar Bowl, drinking, carousing with his teammates, but to a point where even the team was upset with you. True?
No. You can ask Pastor Norm where I was that night.
Where were you?
I was talking to him about religion and stuff like that. I've heard the same thing. My girlfriend broke up with me, all kinds of things. I think when you have a season like that, the expectation, which is what the players felt too, was devastating. And, I think if, I'm not sure why people make this stuff up, but I think it's the price of fame and success, and it's just a part of it. It's funny, I remember walking out of where my girlfriend was staying to go down to do check-in, and for curfew that night. And I see Pastor Norm, and I talked to him right there in the hallway, and I'm late for curfew. Now, maybe that's where the thing is. Now, when I get down there, I call Mel. I was with Pastor Norm. Pastor Norm. Yeah, I was talking to Cole in the hallway. Me and him were sitting there having a heart-to-heart. And I was asking him about success and, how do you manage it and stuff like that. Because I felt we were going to go out and smash Georgia that next day. And we didn't, dude. And then you have to deal about something, humility, which is far tougher to deal with than success.
Another dose of humility would befall Brennan during the NFL draft. He was forced to wait until the 6th round before being selected by the Washington Redskins.
I was miserable all day because I couldn't believe that nobody was that interested in me, And that was tough. And then I got the call, and it was like, oh my God, thank God, I get to go play football, and I'm so excited. And so it was an incredible relief, because when you don't get drafted, it makes it that much harder. And so, especially at that position.
But before his dream of playing professional football could be realized, Brennan would suffer a major setback in the form of a shoulder injury.
I went to the Senior Bowl after I graduated, and I tore my labrum at the Senior Bowl. And when you have a torn labrum, it's a weird injury. It's not like you can't run, but it's like you can't really do the things that you normally could do as fast or as agile as you usually do them. And it creates a lot of growing and hamstring tightness, and you pull them a lot. And so I had that tear, and I had never gotten hurt in my life in football. So I had the surgery before the actual NFL draft, and then I rehabbed those couple months throughout the whole mini camps and stuff, and I came back, and only a month maybe before our first preseason game, I was allowed back on the field. And I just worked, and then jumped out there and just was able to be thankful to be back on the field, that things just kind of happened my first year.
Brennan made it onto the field and showed flashes of his college form in the preseason, but not enough to win the starting job. Over the next 2.5 seasons with the Redskins, Brennan would be injured again and again. He underwent 4 surgeries and was eventually released. The Oakland Raiders next took a chance on the quarterback, but he failed to earn a spot on the roster. Brennan moved to the Big Island, determined to get healthy and get back in the league. His agent got a call from the Raiders, and the possibility of rejoining the team was dangled in front of him.
I'd worked hard, man. I trained the whole time when I was on Big Island, did yoga every morning. I was eating completely healthy. I was in some great shape, and I was so excited. And maybe 3 days later, the accident happened. And then I woke up, and I had no idea about much of anything, really.
When we return, a tragic head-on collision ends a comeback and very nearly ends in loss of life.
How badly do you feel about the woman who was injured?
Being raised in these islands, you have a responsibility, a kuleana, if you will. It's about securing our future.
I did feel a strong sense of duty and responsibility in trying to figure out ways to preserve this place. And one of the main options there that was available to us was a wind farm.
Ulupalakua Ranch, Sumner Erdman and his family have embraced this responsibility.
Maui Electric and Ulupalakua Ranch were going down these parallel paths looking towards alternative energy, and it culminated in the Oahe Wind Farm
It seems very fitting that Maui Electric is able to partner with a local ranch to be able to make good things happen.
Maui Electric has the same goals that we have, that it's done in a way that is sustainable for the island and good for everyone involved.
It's about leaving a legacy of clean energy for our keiki and generations to come.
Colt Brennan's path back to the National Football League meets another obstacle, this time a traffic accident that nearly took his life.
November 2010, you're a passenger in your girlfriend's car on the Big Island. You get in an accident.
Mm-hmm. Let me just say, you understand that case is still pending. The civil action is still pending.
I understand. What can you tell me about that day?
Well, I don't have any memory of that day except for the morning when it rained. I could hear the rain. It woke me up. It was still dark out. I guess what I'm saying is sometimes I try and think that I can remember it, but I don't know if that was the day before or 2 days prior. All I remember is that the rain that night, and I don't even remember waking up in the hospital.
Brennan spent weeks in the hospital. His girlfriend was also injured. The other driver, a Big Island physician, suffered serious head and neck injuries and is still battling to recover.
How badly do you feel about the woman who was injured?
Dude, I feel horrible. I mean, I know exactly what she could be thinking in essence to like, why did this happen? Because I'm feeling the same way, you know? Why, well, why, you know, why? You know, like for instance, I was doing such a good job, you know, I could have came out of the NFL and been an idiot, you know, done a lot of stuff, but I wasn't, man. I was, in essence of what we did that day, this is what I was doing. I felt that phone call would still come and I was gonna be ready for it. And for me to be living such a good, clean, healthy life and to just wake up, it was like, why did this happen? Like, why? You know, the most hurtful thing was, you know, when Teresa, the lady we got in the accident with, I had heard an article. I don't read it no more, you know, the media. I got off that a long time ago, but, you know, I know she felt some you know, some hurt, you know, and it just, you know, it's just so hard. It just hurts so bad to know that, you know, I was nothing to do with it. And I'm so sorry that, you know, she's had to go through this, you know, tough, you know, recuperation and rehabilitation. And I can't even compare it, but I've had my own problems.
Do you think you suffered permanent injury in that accident? I'm talking about brain.
No, they said I have a scar on my brain. I don't know what that means. They said it takes like 1 to 2 years to rewire, which has kind of been a lot of my struggle this last year and a half, or a little over a year and a half now, coming up on 2 years was, you know, I became manic for a long time, which was a nightmare. And I was irritable, I was angry a lot. And, you know, I was just trying to manage and I wasn't doing a good job. I could only average 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night and it was just tearing me up.
What role do drugs or alcohol play?
Well, the thing is that I was using substance, mostly alcohol and maybe marijuana to try and sleep and to try and control these manic moments.
Since the accident? After
the accident, you know. And, you know, I drank before, but like, for instance, before the accident, I maybe drank Friday, Saturday, maybe, you know, like, I was so hell-bent on getting back to the NFL. And, you know, after I couldn't sleep, I was angry all the time, and I tried to, you know, not to be cheesy about it, but just I just tried to self-medicate it. And it just became this really, really insane battle. And, you know, in the end, you know, you know, it's hard with the brain stuff, man. It felt like I was on a roller coaster that I had no control over. And with the essence of almost dying in a car accident, you know, if I did or not, I don't know, but it just, the whole thing made me really just start to be like, what's the point? You know, I got real just kind of down about life, you know, like, well, you know, you get in the car anyway and, you know, you're gonna die one day, you know. I mean, after the accident, I was healing from like 30-something broken, I don't know how many broken bones, but I've broken my eye socket, collarbone, fractured my neck, and just had like a big line of breaks through my ribs and this. I was in a bed for a month doing nothing. It was really, what happened was when I had to get off the pain meds, you know, it was time to get off the pain meds. That's when I, you know, started to drink, you know, and to try and just help sleep and help, and that's when, the aspect of using substance in moderation started to disappear from me.
Let's jump to July of this year. Charged with DUI, Kailua. Had you been drinking that night?
I'd rather he doesn't answer that question.
There was what prosecutors say was cocaine residue found in your rental car that night. Did you know that was in there?
No, he's not going to answer that either. That case has been dismissed. It was a rental car.
So if I ask you if it was your cocaine?
Oh, ask him if it's my cocaine. You're going to get the same answer. He's not.
The case is pending.
If I knew it was there, I wouldn't, it wouldn't have been, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I'd have known it was there, trust me, like, I would have ate it or thrown it. I would have, I didn't know it was there.
When we return, Brennan knows he needs help.
Why did you go into rehab this year, and what value did it have for you?
Well, I think
My grandfather started working for Metagold back in 1923. My dad retired from Metagold after 30 years of service. I remember Dad telling me and my brother Matt about the importance of integrity and dedication, especially when it came to work. He believed that's what makes a person stronger. I guess you could say that had a big influence on me. I'm Frank Gaspar Jr., and this is Metagold and me. 3 generations and counting.
In Hawaii, there's one name that's synonymous with keeping our islands green and growing: Gaviota. It's been that way since 1890. Gaviota brand fertilizer is made especially for Hawaii's plants and soils and blended for reliable, versatile, complete performance. And now we're proud to announce new Gaviota Green, a natural compost-based fertilizer that's safe for plants, people, and the environment. Keep your green growing strong with Gaviota brand fertilizer from BI Hawaii.
Looking for a Medicare plan? HMSA representatives are here to answer your questions.
How much will it cost?
HMSA Akamai Advantage has plans starting at $0 a month for medical and drug benefits.
Will we have coverage when we travel?
Yes, Akamai Advantage has worldwide coverage for emergency care, so you'll have peace of mind while traveling. Choose HMSA Akamai Advantage, the smart choice for Hawaii.
Why did you go into rehab this year, and what value did it have for you?
Well, I think, see, what happened is my parents, they've been concerned, because they saw it. I was living at home a lot of times and whatnot. They saw me drinking more, the need to drink, and maybe it was just to get to sleep, and I had a seizure about a year after the accident, and I was on a plane, and I got taken off for having a seizure, and they said it was because of the brain injury, and in the MRI they had, some visual footage of the fact that they could see the trauma and whatnot, and so basically I became angry because I kept saying that things weren't right with how I felt and what was going on. So when I got in trouble, it finally was, I hit such rock bottom. It was like, can you guys please get me to, the neurologist? And, unfortunately the substance crept up and took me down. And when it was all said and done, after I got charged with, that night, the DUI and whatnot, I just asked, please, can I go see that neurologist? That's the first place we went. And he, in particular fashion, very well explained everything, to where I just really understood. That's why I went over to this unique facility that dealt with substance, but it was a dual diagnosis. In essence, they really understood the brain trauma and wanted to help me just as much in that, more than anything. And so I got a chance to learn really about the brain and how it works, both in substance use and both in brain and just how we are as people.
How difficult was it for you to say, I need help?
Oh, it wasn't difficult. I mean, it wasn't difficult because I had been battling with my parents about, Hey, something doesn't feel right. Oh, well, you're probably maybe drinking too much. And
Do you consider yourself an alcoholic?
well, I learned about it. No, I don't see myself an addict. I don't think that they felt that that was what I was. I mean, I didn't have one desire to drink or do anything when I was in there. I just wanted to get healthy, man, and I was committed to it. You know, I wanted to feel good. I didn't want to do those things, and I wanted to get better. And so, yeah, they had some cool stuff for me to do. And then the days were therapy sessions and just talking about Colorado, the accident, you know, and substance. You know, it was like a threefold type thing that I had to deal with, and then also the medical aspects of kind of head trauma, and knowing that there's a 1 to 2 year window where you're going to feel a little bit out of it. It takes some time for your brain to balance back out. I'm glad I got a game to watch.
Today, Brennan is living in Hawaii. He says he would like to find a job, get involved in charitable causes, stay healthy, and possibly play football again. In the meantime, he's enjoying living on the North Shore with friends and helping the Kahuku High School football team.
If you get a touchdown, I'll fix your helmet.
That was for you.
Thank you, buddy. Good job. Kids out there, you know, enjoy your youth, because that adult world, when you get there, there's gonna be plenty of issues and problems. So preserve it. Don't feel any need. I did that, and I wish I didn't pick up a beer or anything until much later in my life, because your youth is the most funnest time of your life, and you have the most innocence. So try and keep that innocence for as long as you can, because the real world is right around the corner, and when it comes, be ready, because it ain't gonna be fair.
Many questions remain. At 29 years old, with a history of injuries, can Colt Brennan really get back to the competitive world of professional football? More importantly, can he finally end the roller coaster of personal setbacks, some external, many self-inflicted, that took him from the pinnacle of college football as a two-time Heisman finalist to the cell block at Honolulu Police Headquarters? It's not easy for someone idolized to the extent Brennan was in Hawaii to publicly admit personal flaws and poor choices. He deserves credit for doing so. And what he has shared with us are lessons for everyone associated with the business of sports, from fans to coaches and parents, and to athletes themselves. The determining factor in whether Colt Brennan can turn things around will be time. We wish him luck as the next chapter begins in the Colt Brennan story. Thank you for joining us. I'm Matt Levi. Good night.
So much easier when you stand on the sideline compared to when you're on the field. You know, that's what no one ever gets. But you know what? If they do cover two again, you get that outside 9 route. You just got to throw it on a line. Look, you're going to have tons of chances this game. I mean, it's 4th down, right? So you're going to have plenty of chances, so don't worry, you know.
Matt Levi Investigates, brought to you by HMSA to keep our community informed and engaged, working together for positive change. Meadow Gold Dairies, the dairy that truly cares about Hawaii. BEI Hawaii, Hawaii's largest distributor of industrial chemicals, fertilizers, and agricultural products. And Hawaiian Electric Company, supporting a clean energy future for Hawaii.